The silent child, the stars above, were silent. They had seen many stories across time, but tonight they watched a mother fly through darkness, holding something more precious than light itself, her daughter. Her name was Mel, and she was not from Earth. She was a Valari, an alien race from a distant planet called Varelia. Her face was smooth and silver, her eyes like two glowing moons. She had escaped her home with her daughter Aya, who sat silently beside her in the small spaceship. Aya was once full of joy. She used to run through the glowing gardens of Varelia, laughing, playing, touching the light flowers. But one day, she just stopped. No more laughs, no more words, no more smile. At first, Mel thought Aya was sick. But doctors could not find anything wrong. Other children also started losing their emotions. No one could explain why. Some believed it was a virus. Others said it was a curse from old wars. But Mel believed something else. They are forgetting how to feel, she said. They are forgetting how to be alive. Mel had heard stories of a planet called Earth, a place where emotions were still strong, where humans cried, laughed, loved, and felt pain deeply. She believed Earth held the answer to saving Aya, and so Mel took the risk. She stole a ship and ran from her world, breaking her people's law. She traveled across galaxies, hiding from patrols, using old space routes. Finally, after many days, she reached Earth. She landed in a dark forest. Trees surrounded them like tall shadows. Strange sounds filled the night. The ship's power was low, and Mel knew she had little time. She wrapped Aya in a warm cloak and stepped outside. Aya looked around. Her eyes were wide, but empty. She did not speak. She had not spoken in almost a year. "Please," Mel whispered to the sky. "Let someone help us." She walked for hours, carrying Aya. The cold wind bit her skin. Her silver fingers shook. Suddenly, a branch cracked. Mel turned quickly. A man stood there, holding a lantern. Uchard, his beard was messy. He looked human and surprised. Who are you?" the man asked. El didn't answer at first. She was scared. But she saw something in his eyes. Not fear, not anger, just curiosity. And sadness. "My name is Mel," she said slowly. "I need help." The man blinked. "Did you say Mel?" "Yes, I come from far." "My daughter, she does not smile. She does not speak. I think she is forgetting everything." The man looked down at Aya. She was small, quiet, and cold. Her eyes were open, but her face was still. No fear, no joy, just silence. The man took a deep breath. "Come with me," he said. "It's not safe out here." He led them through the trees, down a narrow path to a small cabin. It was warm inside. There was a fire, some old books, and photos on the wall. "I'm David," he said. "I live here, alone." Mel nodded. "Thank you." David looked at Aya. "Is she sick?" "No," Mel said. "Not in the way you mean. On our planet, children are changing. They are losing emotions. They forget how to cry, how to laugh. Doctors call it emotional decay, but no one knows how to stop it." David sat down. He looked into the fire for a while. "My daughter. She passed away 2 years ago," he said. "She had the brightest smile. After she was gone, I stopped smiling too." Mel looked at him. "Then maybe you understand." David nodded slowly. Aya sat by the fire. She stared at the flames. They danced and flickered like golden spirits. Her eyes followed the movement, her head tilted. She blinked. "She's watching," David whispered. "That's something." For a few minutes, the room was quiet. Then David stood up and picked up an old music box. He turned the key and a soft tune began to play a lullaby. Aya turned toward the sound. Suddenly, her lips moved just a little. A twitch, like a memory trying to return. Ma-El gasped. "Did you see that?" David nodded. She almost smiled. But before they could speak again, Aya's face changed. Her eyes filled with fear. She stood up and screamed. A loud, broken scream. Then she fainted. David rushed to catch her. "What happened?" Mel held her tightly. "I don't know. I think she saw something. Something she remembers." David looked out the window into the forest. The trees were still, but he felt something strange in the air, as if they were not alone. "Someone's watching us," he said quietly, and in the shadows, far behind the trees, something moved. The night grew colder, but inside the cabin, the fire still burned. David sat near the window, staring into the dark forest. His eyes didn't blink much. His hands stayed still on his knees. He wasn't just watching for danger. He was remembering. He remembered the way his daughter, Emily, used to laugh when she saw snow for the first time. He remembered how she would run into his arms with muddy boots, smiling wide. He remembered the last day she smiled. And then he remembered her silence. The same kind of silence Aya now carried behind him. Mel sat beside her sleeping daughter. Aya had fainted after hearing the music box. Her breathing was calm now, but her face still showed fear. "What did she see?" David asked, without turning. "I don't know," Mel said softly. "Maybe a memory. Maybe something too big for her to feel." David finally stood up. He opened an old wooden drawer and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. He placed it on the table and slowly unfolded it. Inside was a small picture. A man, a woman, and a young girl, all smiling. "My family," David said. "Emily was 5 when we lost her." Mel looked at the photo, then back at David. "You carry her face, like I do with Aya." David gave a sad smile. "After Emily died, I left everything. My work, my house, the city. Came here to forget." "But you didn't forget," Mel said. "No," David whispered. "I remember." He turned toward Aya. "And maybe that's why I can help her." The next morning, the sky was gray. A soft fog rolled through the trees. David made tea. Mel watched him carefully, how he moved slowly, gently, like someone who had once broken and learned to walk again. Aya sat by the window, awake but quiet. Her big eyes followed the raindrops sliding down the glass. David brought her a small piece of toast with honey. "Try this," he said, with a soft voice. Aya looked at it. She didn't move. Mel leaned in. "It's okay," she said. "He's a friend." Aya slowly reached out and took the toast. She touched it with her fingers, then bit a tiny corner. Her face stayed blank, but she didn't drop it. David smiled. "That's a start." He stood up and walked to a shelf. There were small toys, books, and broken machines. "I fix things," David said, pulling out wires and parts. "I build little things that help people remember." Mel looked confused. David pulled out a small box, a cube with wires, glass, and a tiny light inside. "This is a memory light," he said. "I made it after Emily died. When you hold it, it shows small memories, not real ones, but soft copies. I wonder if Aya would like it." He placed the cube in front of Aya and pressed a button. The light blinked. Then a small image appeared in the air, like a 3D projection. It was a scene, a child holding a balloon, running through a field. Aya's eyes widened. She leaned closer. The image changed now. A family sitting under stars, watching the sky. David whispered, "Feel it, little one. It's not scary, just a story." Aya touched the light with her finger. It glowed warmer. Then, for the first time in 300 days. A sound came from her lips. A giggle, soft, short, but real. Ma-El gasped. Her eyes filled with tears. Aya, did you just? But the joy lasted only a second. The light suddenly turned red. The cube blinked fast. David grabbed it. What's happening? Mel asked. David stared at the screen. It's being jammed. Something's interfering with the signal. He opened the cabin door and stepped outside. The wind had stopped. The forest was too quiet. David looked at the trees, between two trunks. Far in the distance, a figure stood, tall, dark. Watching, he quickly shut the door. We're not alone, he said. Mel stood. Did they follow me? David nodded slowly. Looks like it. That night, Aya sat by the fire again. The cube was turned off now, but something had changed in her eyes. She looked at David and whispered her first clear word. Papa. Mel covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. David didn't speak. He only knelt beside her, gently held her hand, and nodded. But in his heart, fear grew. If someone followed Mel from the stars, then they would come for Aya. And this time, they would not be kind. The fire was low. Shadows danced on the cabin walls like ghosts from another world. A YA sat on the wooden floor, watching the flickering light. Her silver fingers held the broken memory cube David had given her. It was small, but it had made her laugh, even if only for a second. David was at his workbench again, tools spread out, wires in hand. But this time, he wasn't just fixing. He was creating. Earlier that morning, Mel told him something strange, something that made David stop and stare. In our world, she had said, we do not allow sadness in childhood. We erase it, hide it, stories of fear, no images of war. Only peace, joy, and quiet learning. David frowned. But that's not real. It was meant to protect them, Mel said. But perhaps we protected them too much. David now understood something important. Aya didn't lose her. Emotions, she never learned how to face them. Not sadness, not fear, not loss. Her mind was pure, untouched. Until Earth. So he had an idea. I'm going to build something, he said. A way to help her feel safely. Not all at once. Just one piece at a time. Mel watched as David carefully connected wires, lenses, and sensors. What will it do? He smiled softly. I'm going to build a memory machine. It took hours. David didn't sleep. He barely spoke. He added old tech, music parts, voice recordings, even scents. It was messy, strange, and beautiful, like all human inventions. Finally, he placed the last piece, a photo of Emily, his daughter. Inside the heart of the machine, he called Aya to sit. This is for you, he said gently. It won't hurt. It will just show you a story, a memory from Earth. Maybe. It will help your own memories open too. Aya nodded a small nod, but real. David pressed a button. The machine whirred softly. Then, music. A soft lullaby. Strings, wind, and the sound of rain. A glowing light floated up. Then an image appeared in the air. A little human girl, laughing in a yellow raincoat. She ran through puddles, holding her father's hand. The rain fell gently. The father lifted her high in the air. She squealed in joy. Aya's mouth opened slightly. Then the scene changed. The girl sat on her father's lap, wrapped in a blanket, watching stars through a window. Her eyes sparkled. Aya reached out her hand, Sam, and smiled. But then the scene darkened. The same girl now stood at a hospital bed, holding her father's hand. Machines beeped. Her mother lay still. The girl was crying. Aya's face changed. Her hand lowered. Her smile faded. Tears rolled down her cheeks, real tears, Mel moved forward, panicked. "She's hurting." "No," David said. "She's feeling—" Aya turned toward her mother. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her tears said it all. Later that day, David found Mel sitting outside the cabin, looking at the gray sky. "She cried," she said. "We were told crying meant damage, a broken mind." David shook his head. "No, crying means healing." Mel nodded. "We were wrong." David sat beside her. "How did it start?" "The emotional decay." Mel hesitated. Then she said, "Something David didn't expect. We chose to forget." David looked at her. "Forget what?" Mel's voice was soft. "War, pain, betrayal. Long ago, our kind fought terrible battles. We blamed emotions, so our leaders erased them from the next generations. Peace came, but slowly, something else died." She looked at the cabin window, where Aya sat watching. A bird. Our children forgot how to feel. That night, David powered off the machine and wrapped it in cloth. But just before he turned off the lights, something strange happened. The machine blinked. Once, then again, words appeared on the small screen. "New presence detected." David froze. "What?" The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. He rushed to the door, opened it, and saw nothing. Just trees. Silence, but deep in the woods, unseen eyes blinked. And far above, in low orbit, a signal was received. They knew where she was. Inside, Aya held the machine close. She didn't smile this time, but she didn't cry either. She just whispered. Something. David leaned in. "What did you say?" Aya looked at him. Her voice was soft. The woods were never truly silent. There was always some sound: wind in the trees, an owl, or the soft crunch of a distant animal walking over leaves. But tonight, the forest had stopped breathing. David felt it first. He was chopping firewood behind the cabin when the axe slipped in his hand, not because he was tired, but because something deep inside him told him to listen. No wind, no birds, no sound. At all, he looked up. The trees stood still, like frozen giants. The air felt thicker, like something heavy was pressing down from above. Then he heard it. One step, a single, slow step in the distance. Not animal, not bird. It was something heavier, walking on two legs. Inside the cabin, Mel was reading an old book, trying to understand Earth's history. Beside her, Aya drew pictures with a piece of charcoal. She had drawn a bird, a tree, and surprisingly, a small human holding hands with an alien child. Mel smiled gently. "Is that David?" Aya nodded, but then she dropped the charcoal. Her head turned sharply to the window. "Something's coming," she whispered. Mel froze. David returned quickly, locking the cabin door behind him. He looked at them. "Pack your things." Now, Mel stood. "Who is it?" "I don't know," he said. "But whatever it is, it's not human." He walked to a wooden chest, pulled out a flare gun, a knife, and a small communicator. "What are those?" Mel asked. "Old tools from when I was a rescue worker," he said. "Before Emily died." Mel touched his arm. "You don't have to protect us. This is not your war." David looked at her, his voice calm but full of fire. "She called me Papa," he said. "That makes it my war now." Night fell hard. They stayed inside. Aya didn't speak. She just stared at the door. Then knock, dash knock, knock dash knock. 3. Slow, heavy knocks. David moved to the door, weapon ready. A voice spoke from outside. It was low, cold, and clear. "Return the child, or Earth will suffer." Mel's face turned pale. "I know that voice." David's heart beat faster. "Who is it?" "His name is Raek. He's an enforcer. He works for the Memory Authority. David frowned. What's that? Mel looked down. The part of our government that controls what children are allowed to feel. Aya was supposed to be reset, reset. They wipe the mind. Clean the emotions. Start again. David gritted. His teeth. Not happening. Suddenly, the power died. The lights went out. The fire dimmed. The door shook violently. Aya screamed, not in fear and recognition. He was there, she cried. In my memory, he'd made me forget. David pointed the flare gun at the door. Get away from here. But Rock's voice came again. This time, not from outside, but from the old radio on the shelf. Human. You don't understand what you're protecting. This is not your fight. Emotions destroyed our people once. We will not let them return. David spoke into the dark. You're too late. She's already remembering. Rock paused. Then you have doomed us all. Outside, something heavy landed on the roof. The cabin shook. David whispered, get to the cellar. He opened a trapdoor under the rug. Mel and Aya climbed down. David stood above. Watching the door, it opened slowly, but no one was there, just wind. Then, from the shadows, a tall figure stepped in, skin like stone, eyes like frozen stars. Rocky looked at David. You're just a broken man in a broken house, he said. Why fight? David raised the flare gun. Because even broken men can still protect what matters. He fired. The flare lit the cabin in red fire. Rock screamed and stumbled back into the night, in the cellar. Mel held Aya close. What's happening? Aya whispered. Your past is waking up, Mel said. And they're afraid. Why? Mel looked into her daughter's eyes. Because once you feel, they can't control you. David locked the cabin and blocked the door. He knew Rock would return. Maybe not tonight, but soon. But he also knew something else now. This wasn't just about Aya anymore. This was about all children like her on other worlds, in hidden systems. Being silenced by fear, David wasn't just protecting one child. He was standing up for something the whole galaxy had tried to bury. The right to feel far above Earth. A message was sent from Rock's ship. Emotion found. Resistance active. Preparing final protocol. And on the planet Varelia, children began to wake in the night, tears in their eyes, whispering a single strange word. Papa. Aya sat on the cabin floor, holding a warm mug with both hands. She wasn't drinking the tea inside. She was just feeling the heat. Feeling something. David watched her from across the room. No words, no smile. Just quiet, but this silence felt different. Not empty, not broken. It was the silence before a voice returns. Outside, the forest was healing from the night's fear. But something had changed in the air. The birds had not come back. The sky was clear, but the ship still floated. Above, invisible to human eyes, but very real to David now. He could feel it, like pressure behind his ears, like a storm waiting to drop. Ma-El stood at the window, her arms crossed. She hadn't spoken since Rock disappeared into the trees. David finally said, "Tell me the rest." She turned to him, unsure. "You told me the Valari erased emotions from your children," David said. "But you never said why. What are you so afraid of?" Mel sat down slowly. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled. "There was a time, long ago," she said, "when our kind felt too much. Passion, rage, love that turned into war. We created art, beauty, and destruction. Our planet almost died in fire." She looked at Aya, so our leaders made a decision. One law, one rule. The founding code. She paused. Children must not feel deeply. Emotion would be allowed only in adults in small doses. The young would be kept pure, untouched by love, grief, or hate. David frowned. You made them empty. We made them safe, Mel said quietly. No, David said. You made them forget how to be alive. In the shadows of the forest, Rock watched the cabin. His body still ached from the flare. Fire, but his mind was sharp. He activated his wrist console. A hologram blinked to life, the Valari High Order. Speak, the cold voice said. Rack lowered his head. Emotion has returned. The child is showing signs of deep memory. Interference is stronger than expected. Then proceed with final law, the voice replied. Destroy the source. Rock hesitated. There is a complication. The human, he has become a symbol. The child calls him Papa. Their bond is spreading. The High Order fell silent. Then, if others begin to feel again, the code will collapse. Rock nodded. Then I will burn the forest. That night, David sat beside Aya. He showed her old Earth photos, birthday parties, family dinners, Emily's drawing of a tree with pink leaves. Aya pointed at it. It's like the joy tree from my dreams. David smiled. Maybe it's not a dream. Maybe it's a memory trying to return. Ya touched her chest. It feels warm here. Is that love? David nodded. Yes, that's love. Mel watched them. Something broke inside her. Or maybe something healed. I've broken the code, she whispered. I've made her feel. That is a crime. David looked at her. Then you're guilty of something beautiful. But peace didn't last. At midnight, the sky turned red. Trees lit up with fire. Rock had begun the purge. The forest burned not from Earth's fire, but alien heat, controlled, designed to cleanse. David ran outside, his flare gun useless now. Flames danced in rings, closing in. We have to leave, Mel yelled. No, David said. We have to fight. He opened the memory machine, rerouted its signal. A last trick he had saved. What are you doing? Mel asked. I'm broadcasting Aya's memory, he said. To the stars. To your people. Let them feel what you tried to hide. Inside the machine, Aya's voice played. Papa. Thank you for the story. It wasn't much, but it was. Enough in the Valari skies, thousands of screens blinked. On ships, on buildings, in sleeping homes, children saw a human hug an alien girl and tell her, you are loved. And then they began to cry. Rock stumbled backward. His ship's alarm rang. Unauthorized signal breach. The emotion was spreading, not like a virus. Like a memory reborn. David stood tall outside the burning cabin. Fire behind him, eyes on the stars. I'm not just a father anymore, he said. I'm a message. Mel stepped beside him. Then let them hear it. Asterisk, the fire had died. Ashes floated in the cold morning air. Like black snow, the forest still smoked where Rock's cleansing flames had touched earth. Trees were scorched. The cabin roof was half burned, but somehow it still stood, and inside that half-broken home, a little alien girl was laughing. Not a forced laugh, not a glitch or reflex. A real, bright, living laugh. Aya sat on the cabin floor, spinning a wooden top David had carved. It wobbled, danced, then fell over, and she burst out in pure joy. Her small hands clapped together. Her eyes sparkled with life. David stood in the doorway, speechless. Mel covered her mouth. Aya looked up at them both. That was funny. She said it was the first full sentence she had ever spoken on Earth. David dropped to one knee, smiling wide. Say it again? Aya giggled. It was funny. Male knelt beside her. Aya, you're really back. Aya leaned into her. Not back, Mama. I'm awake now. Outside? Rock stumbled through the smoke. He had failed. The memory machine's signal had gone farther than expected. Too far. It had reached Valari satellites, archives, homes. Children across the galaxy were beginning to feel again. They were drawing strange shapes, asking questions. Some even said words their parents didn't understand. One word kept repeating. Papa. Back in the cabin, Mel sat with David. Her voice was low. Her laugh will not go unnoticed, she said. The High Order will respond. David nodded. Let them come. They won't find the same man. Mel looked at him. You've changed. He looked out at the sky. So have you. Aya tugged on his sleeve. Can we go outside? I want to see the light. They walked through the ashes together. A YA stepped onto a blackened patch of earth and looked up. The clouds moved slowly. Suddenly, she pointed. Look. A small bird, one of the few survivors, flew across the sky. Aya laughed again. The sound rang out like a song, far away. On the planet Varelia, millions heard the echo. It played through unblocked systems, old communication lines, even underground. Memory vaults? The sound of an alien child laughing freely, without control. Something in the minds of the Valari people cracked open. Some wept. Some remembered old dreams. Some simply closed their eyes and smiled. The High Order met in silence. One voice spoke. The law is broken. Another said, we warned them. Emotion would return like fire. Rock's voice crackled over their link. The human has changed her. Yes, they said. And now she is changing us. In the forest, David placed a blanket on the ground. Aya sat in the middle, collecting small sticks and stones. I want to build a nest, she said. So the bird comes back. Male helped her. That's beautiful, Aya. David watched them. You're not just teaching her to feel, she's teaching you to live. Mel looked at him, and you are no longer just human. That night, they lit a small fire. Not for warmth. Not for fear, but for memory. I danced around it, humming a tune from the memory machine. Her voice was soft, but strong. David picked up a stone and carved one word into the cabin wall. Begin. Above them, the stars shifted. A small fleet of ships appeared, dark, silent, and watching. The High Order had arrived, but they came not with weapons. They came to listen. The ships came without sound. They floated above the forest like shadows holding their breath. Black as coal, sharp as blades, filled with eyes that did not blink. Inside the cabin, David held Aya close. She's coming, Aya said softly. David looked at her. Who? Aya pointed at the sky. The one who made the law. Mel stepped outside, her head raised toward the ships. It's the High Order, she said. The leaders of my world. Are they here to take her? David asked. They're here, Mel said, to see if she's worth saving or erasing. David's jaw tightened. I won't let them take her. Mel turned. What if we don't have a choice? David looked down at Y. She wasn't afraid. That's when he knew they'd already lost their power over her. A beam of light fell from the largest ship. A figure descended. She was tall, pale, wrapped in robes that shimmered like glass. Her eyes held centuries. Her voice was not loud, but it reached every ear. I am Saranala, voice of the code. Aya tilted her head. You don't look scary. The woman blinked, confused. David stepped forward. Why are you here? To witness, Saranala said. To judge, this child has broken our most sacred law. She laughed, David said. She felt that's not a crime. In our world, it is, Saranala replied. David shook his head. then your world is already dying. Aya stood, holding her small wooden top. I want to show her something, she said. She walked to the middle of the clearing. Everyone watched. She spun the top. It danced. Wobbled, spun again, then fell. Aya giggled. Saranala watched the child. And something flickered in her eyes. A memory dot of a small girl on a blue hill, spinning flowers in the wind, long forgotten, buried under decades of control. Aya looked at her. Did you ever laugh? Saranala didn't answer. Aya took her hand. Come. Sit with us. We're not scary. The leaders aboard the ships gasped. No child speaks to the voice, but Saranala. Sat David offered her tea. She didn't take it. Instead, she asked, Why did you protect her? David looked at the fire. Because someone once protected me, my daughter. She died. But before she did, she made me feel something that never left. He looked at Aya. Real love. That's what saved me. That's what's saving her now. Saranala stared into the flames. This love is dangerous. It blinds. It breaks. David nodded. It also builds. The wind moved through the trees. No one spoke. Then a sound, not from a YA, from Saranala. A soft, single laugh, almost too quiet to hear. But Aya smiled wide. You remember Saranala stood, eyes no longer cold. The code is broken, she said, and maybe it should be. She looked at the sky. Transmit this message. Let the children feel again. On Varalia, on ships, on distant colonies, the message was heard. The emotion returned. Paintings were unsealed. Songs unbanned. Memory machines reactivated. Fathers hugged sons who had never cried. Mothers heard their daughters giggle for the first time. The world began to breathe. Weeks passed. The forest regrew. Birds returned. The cabin was repaired. Stronger than before. Aya planted a new tree. Where the fire had burned the worst, David helped her water it. What should we call it? He asked. Aya smiled. Emily's tree. That night they sat around the fire again. Ma-El told stories from her childhood, ones she had forgotten. David sang a quiet earth song. Aya leaned on his shoulder. She whispered, Do you think that stars are listening? David looked up. They always were. And far away, across the galaxy, where silence had ruled for generations. 1,000 alien children laughed.